Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Before we start today's Srimad Bhagavatam class, let us do a simple Mangalacharan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narom Chaim Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayak. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, let us offer our respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality, Lord Narayana, onto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, onto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and onto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nasta Presha Avadareshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavadina Istikihi. By regularly attending Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service to pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely vanquished, and loving devotional service onto the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, who is praised with transcendental song and choice poetry, is established in one's heart as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Chaksuramritanyana Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. I was born in a darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master illuminated my heart with the torch of transcendental knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namam Shivana Krishna Prasthaya Putare Srimite Japata Goswamiti Namnina Amachar Pidani Tai Kripa Pidani Gaura Katadam Daing Harigram Tani Mukam Karoti Machalu Panglai Digrim Yat Kripatamam Mande Sri Guru Dinataram Paramam Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are doing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 5, chapter entitled Narada's Teaching to Vasudeva. Today's text is text number 18. Okay, so today this is the class of the continuation of Maharaj Nimi's conversation with Nava Yogendras. So the last question that Maharaj Nimi asked the Nava Yogendras is the various pastimes of Lord Hari. So in that class, I made the point that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, he appears unlimited number of times in just one universe. And this is just Krishna. His other incarnations not included. They come even more often. So one might ask, why the Supreme Lord works so hard? Why does he come and perform his wonderful pastimes for our benefit, for the benefit of all of us, so that we are able to remember the Supreme Lord. We are able to think of him, we are able to praise him, we are able to see him in his deity form, we are able to tell each other, among devotees about the wonderful activities of the Supreme Lord. Why does he do all that? So the simple answer here is given in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Paritaranayam sadhunam vinashacha duskritam dharma samstapanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. He comes because he wants to bless his devotees. That's number one. Number two, he comes to kill demons. Number three is to re-establish the principles of religion. Okay. So the real reason here among all these three reasons actually is because he wants to come and bless his devotees. Okay, the Lord comes on the invitation of his devotees, and he comes just to please them. So the Lord is very expert as doing one action, but millions of benefits. So he comes and he gives this kind of this kind of blessing to his devotees, and also blessing to all of us also. So today's question that Maharaj Nimi asks is, despite all the effort on the part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just to remind us that our real welfare, our real happiness, our real self-interest, our real joy, our real bliss is actually with him in Vaikuntha. Yet there are some who choose not to believe in the Supreme Lord. So this is the question that Maharaj Nimi asked. King Nimi further inquired, my dear Yogendras, all of you are most perfect in knowledge of the science of the self. Therefore, kindly explain to me the destination of those who, for the most part, never worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who are unable to quench their material desires and who are not in control of their own selves. So, this is the question. He is asking, what is the destination for those who for most part, never worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari? So, he's asking about those who do not worship. So just before we go on, I'd like to say a little bit of something to clarify, to establish, some facts for the benefit of all those who are listening to this class. The Lord Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he extensively speaks about the divine qualities of his devotees. And he mercifully also dedicated one whole chapter just for the description of those who are demoniac. Those are demons who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should ask ourselves, why does the Supreme Lord want us to know about the demoniac qualities? We assume that he wants us all to become divine and go home back to Godhead, get liberation. So the answer here is given in a very nice, wonderful class by Gauranga Das from ISKCON Pune. He says there that when you study scripture, you will discover that there are two kinds of people. There is those who are divine and those who are demoniac. So in the map of this universe, what happens is the upper planetary system known as Swarga is where all the devas live, all the demigods live, and they are all divine. They are all divine. And the characteristic of one who is divine is that they are very obedient to the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Number one, they are very obedient. And then the demoniac, they live in the bottom side of the universe known as hellish planetary system or the lower planetary system. And the characteristics of those who are demoniac is that they do not listen to the instruction of Lord Vishnu, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the big distinction. So from the perspective of the universe, you see there's a geographical divide. But here on earth in Kali Yuga, this age of Kali Yuga, we find the demonic and the demoniac in one person. In one person, you have both. You have the good and the bad. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he uses the analogy of the three modes of material nature, Sattvika Guna, Rajagunam and Tamasa Gunam. Sattvika Guna is mode of goodness, Rajagunam is mode of passion, and Tamasa Gunam is mode of ignorance. Tama means darkness. So Krishna says that these three modes of material natures are like strings on a puppet. They pull at our emotions, at our mind and our state of being. They pull at it. And these three modes, the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, they're constantly fighting each other. So sometimes you will experience that sometimes you are very peaceful for no reason whatsoever. You're very peaceful, you're very calm, you're very, very charitable, very happy. And then some other time comes along, you will discover you're very agitated. Your mind is not at peace. You get easily angered. So this is proof that this mode is at work. So from here we have to understand there's another more important point. All these points, by the way, are found in Bhagavad Gita chapter 16. The chapter is titled The Divine and the Demonic Nature. So in chapter 16, there is a distinction made between nature, nurture and culture. Nature, nurture and culture. Nature is the nature that you acquire from your past lives, from your past activities. Let's say in your past lives, you mostly operate in a mode of passion, let's say. Very passionate person. So when you're born in this world, in this body, in this life, what happens is you are born with this mode of passion. This mode of your nature, you cannot do anything about it. This is what has happened in the past. The result of what you have done in the past is manifesting in the form of your natural nature. Okay, some children born in families of laborers, sudras, they're mainly very much passionate and ignorant. Some children, you see, they were very peaceful. They have Brahminical qualities, very sattviga, very mode of goodness. You see, So where you are born doesn't determine what mode you're in. What determines is your guna and karma. The karma is to do with your work that you perform and the qualities that you have cultivated within yourself for lifetime after lifetime. When you're born with this nature, you cannot do anything about it. That's it. It's there. But your nature is not a death sentence. We cannot think that, since I was born like this, or therefore, there's nothing I can do. There's no point in worshipping the Supreme Lord. I am like this means I'm like this. No, that's not true. Why? Because it comes to the second point, the nurture. We are human beings. We have intelligence. We have the ability to determine our mode. We can choose. We can choose. So that is where we cultivate. We cultivate we can choose what we want to become. Let's say you are in a job. Let's say you join a company or a factory as a bottom rung. Let's say you're a production operator or a clerk. You join. You can if you want, you can climb up the corporate ladder. Similar like to us also, whatever mode you are in, let's say you are mode of ignorance, and you think, hey, I want to improve myself, I want to become better. So you can climb up. You can come from mode of ignorance, you can come to mode of passion. From passion, you can come a mode of goodness. You can do that. That is a determination. That is the what is called quality of a human being. You're a human being means you have that ability. So in this connection, there is a very nice story that I heard from Jabataka Maharaj, with regards to nurture. Once there was a hunter. He went to the jungle to hunt. And while he was hunting, there was a tiger that saw him and decided to give him chase this hunter. So this hunter, seeing how the dangerous situation he was in, he started to run. He was running, and while he was running, he fell and he dropped his weapon. All his weapon he dropped, and he just kept on running until he came to a tree. He saw there was no way to escape this tiger. He decided to climb up the tree. Okay? And while he was in the tree, he was a little safe. Why? Because tigers cannot climb trees, especially if the tree is steep. So while this hunter was there trying to catch his breath, and this tiger was circling down the tree there, waiting for him to come down because he wants to eat the hunter, this hunter noticed that up on the tree there was another animal, a bear. The bear was sleeping. I said, I escaped from the tiger. Now I'm in danger because there's a bear up there. But luckily the bear is sleeping. Therefore not doing anything. Quietly just sleeping only. He's not disturbed. He's here. So seeing this situation, the tiger decided to talk to the bear. I say, hello, my dear bear. This hunter is here hiding in this tree. You please do me this favor. I'm very hungry. Please push this hunter down so that I can attack it and eat it. And I'll make a deal with you. If you push this hunter down, I will kill it and we can both share. So this bear, he answered this tiger. He said, my dear tiger, this hunter now has taken shelter of my tree. Okay? And by culture, I have to give him protection. I have to give him protection from you. Okay? So the tiger was very disappointed. He said, this one. What kind of bear is this? So this tiger decided to change tactic. He says, my dear hunter, you see, you have to understand, I am hungry here. Whatever it is, I have to eat. Either I eat you or I eat the bear. So I make a deal with you, my dear hunter. You push the bear down, I will kill the bear, I will eat the bear. While I'm eating the bear, you can escape. I will be too busy to chasing you. I got no time to chase you. You can escape. So this hunter, being a very low character, he decided to take this deal. Okay, this is my chance to escape. So he went and he pushed the bear off the tree. Somehow or other, the bear was falling off the tree, but somehow or other he caught one branch and he climbed back up onto the tree and he went back to sleep. very peaceful bear. So the tiger said, you see, not bear, I told you cannot trust this human. No, you better push that fella down, not means that fella will kill you again. So the bear gave this answer. He says, my dear tiger, if somebody tried to do something to you of a low nature, which is not cultured, that does not mean that I have to fall under his level of behavior and become a low class person. That is not culture. So even though this is a story, but it's very instructive, and it is true. If somebody does wrong onto you, doesn't mean you have to demean yourself, bring yourself down from your high standard and become as low as the person that hurt you. So this is nurture. You can nurture this. You can nurture this quality. And then the third one is culture. This culture is exclusively for us humans. Why? Because culture is to do with transcendental knowledge. So those who are intelligent will take to culture that is built around transcendental knowledge. This knowledge is based on the information found in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, and there are many exalted cultures from bygone ages, but by far the oldest culture that have existed in this world has been the culture of Vedic culture from Bharat. And right now, the culture that is most popular around the world, and it is growing very rapidly, is the Vaishnava culture. Okay, this Vaishnava culture is the culture that has been established by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is non-different from Radha and Krishna himself, who appeared 500 years ago. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established this culture to re-establish the Brahminical culture. Okay, so some of you might be wondering, what is this Brahminical culture? I will tell you what the Brahminical culture is. This is from chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, text 1 to 3. You just listen. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharat, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. This is the culture that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wished upon all of us. So here, after hearing this question from Maharaj Nimi, okay, Sri Chamasa, he is another one of the brothers of the 9 Yogendras, he gave this answer. This is text 2. Each of the 4 social orders headed by the Brahmanas was born through different combination of the mode of nature from the face, arm, thigh and feet of the Supreme Lord in his universal form. Thus the 4 spiritual orders was also generated. So this verse here is talking about the Varnashrama Dharma. So this Varnashrama Dharma in India is a very controversial topic, but actually what is he referring to is here is Daivi Varnashrama Dharma. This Daivi Varnashrama Dharma is based on guna and karma, your quality and the work that you perform. Okay, so this Varnashrama Dharma is actually a system that is used in Vaikuntha planets for society to operate in a peaceful manner. Okay, this Varnashrama Dharma consists of 8 sections. 8 sections. First one is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. These are the social orders. Okay, and then the spiritual orders are Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. So 8 social sections. So recently I heard a class by His Grace, His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami, And he made this statement which was actually very interesting. He says, this Varnasrama Dharma is meant to be practiced by those who are Paramahamsas. Paramahamsas are those who are non-envious. A group of devotees living together and operating and performing their duties according to their quality and their work without any enviousness, no fighting among each other. No fighting. So Varnasrama Dharma is actually a very exalted system for which we can aspire for. So here it is explained in much detail. I won't go into it. If you want, please read from Srimad Bhagavatam. By the way, Srimad Bhagavatam is available free of charge online. Let's go to text 3. If any of the members of the 4 Varnas and 4 Asramas fail to worship or intentionally disrespect the personality of Godhead, who is the source of their own creation, they will fall down from their position into a hellish state of life. Okay, one who falls from the Varnasrama system will have no means of avoiding sinful activities, nor receiving any credit for performing sacrifice. They sink down into lower species of life in hellish planets. One who is trained to offer respect, obeisances, and worship the bona fide spiritual master automatically offers proper worship to the Supreme Lord. So here in this verse, he tells that those who intentionally disrespect the Supreme Personality of Godhead, intentionally. This is distinct from those who actually do not know anything about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we Hare Krishna devotees, we are looking for those who actually are in this category of they don't know. They don't have any problem with any God. They don't have any problem with Krishna. They are not envious. They don't show any disrespect. They have no any disrespectful feeling for the Supreme Lord and his devotees. They just don't know about the Supreme Lord. We are looking for such people actually. But this one, this Chamasa Muni is talking about those who go out of their way to disrespect the Supreme Lord. So the result of that is anything they do from the point of disrespecting the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotee is that they become more and more entangled in the complexities of this material world. Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 text 14, if I'm not mistaken, there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita says, Daivisa Gudamahi Mama Maya Durajaya Mam Eva Prapachate Mayam Itam Tarantite. Krishna says, and this divine energy of mind consisting of the 3 modes of material nature is very, very, very difficult to overcome. Very difficult to overcome. But he gives a solution. But he says that one who surrenders onto me can easily cross beyond it. So this is what he's saying here in this verse. Okay, and it's also said in the purport, any worship or any pious activity that one performs in the mode of disrespecting the Supreme Lord, those activities actually do not give the desired result. They simply entangle one more and more in the complexities of this material world without you knowing what is actually going on. So this is very dangerous. Let's go to text number 4. There are many persons who have little opportunity to take part in discussing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, and thus it is difficult for them to chant his infallible glories. Persons such as a woman, Shudra, and other fallen classes always deserve the mercy of great personalities like yourself. So this is discussing about culture. What is the culture? The culture of one who is following a transcendental culture is that they constantly engage themselves, their mind and their intelligence and their senses in glorifying the Supreme Lord. So this is what is being said here. Some have no opportunity, little opportunity to take part in discussing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari. Okay, the easiest way one can engage in transcendental activities is simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Simply by chanting this mantra, what happens is one heart becomes cleansed and you begin to see things more clearly. You begin to develop faith in the conclusion of the scriptures. So this is how one can progress in spiritual life. Once one becomes cleansed of his heart, he will engage in activities like this, like this, listening to classes, giving classes, discussing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let's look at text number 5. On the other hand, Brahmanas, members of the royal order, and Vaishyas, even after being allowed to approach the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Hari by receiving the second birth of Vedic initiation, can become bewildered and adopt various materialistic philosophies. So here, Chamasa Muni is explaining that the higher order of societies, that means the Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishyas, and even though they get spiritual training, there is always a chance that they will fall into the trap of Maya, of illusion. Okay, and there is a very interesting story in this connection. How powerful Maya is. Once there was a Brahmana who was very, very austere, very powerful in his austerities. He used to perform so much austerity that he became so powerful, so much austerity, that King Indra himself became frightened of this Brahmana. As some of you know, King Indra is constantly in fear. In fear of what? In fear of people taking over his position as the king of the heavenly planets. So this King Indra, he found out this Brahmana he's so powerful. He got more pious merits than the king of the heavenly planets. So King Indra, being fearful, he's always trying to find a way how to make them fall down. How to make them fall down. So this King Indra got an idea. So in the olden days, in Vedic times, there was no banks. There was no banks. So if you had some money and you want to put it in a safe place, the only place you could go to put it in a safe place is to meet a Brahmana. So this Brahmana, being a very austere Brahmana, many people will approach him and they'll ask him, my dear Brahmana, please, can you keep this safely, because I'm going somewhere. After I come back, I'll collect it from you. And this Brahmana, being a very charitable person, he will say, yes, okay, no problem, I'll keep. And whatever you give this Brahmana will be safe. Why? Because nobody will steal from a Brahmana. Number one, if you steal from a Brahmana, this Brahmana will curse you. And everybody knows the curse of a Brahmana is very, very dangerous, very bad. Don't play a fool with Brahmana. So even those days, Vedic times, if anybody want to steal money, means they will steal from the Vaishyas, the business people. They got plenty of money. You steal some from them, no big deal, and they cannot do much also. And the second best is to steal from a Kshatriya. But there's a danger there. Kshatriya will kill you on the spot. So the best place to give is to this Brahmana. So one day what happened was, King Indra came disguised as a Kshatriya. And he came to this Brahmana and says, my dear Brahmana, I'm going somewhere. Can you please keep my sword for me? King Indra had a beautiful sword, sword that is made out of gold, silver, diamond, jewels, and everything. Very nice. So this Brahmana said, no problem, come, give me the sword. So this Brahmana kept the sword. And in only 1 week, what happened was, this Brahmana was curious, people come, give me money, give me gold, I'm not interested in all these kind of things. But this first time I'm getting a sword, and the sword was a very beautiful sword. So the first day, this Brahmana saw the sword, he held the handle of the sword. He held the handle of the sword. Then after the third day or fourth day, he decided to take out the sword from the sheath. There's a covering for the sword. He decided to take it out, and he looked at it. Oh, very fine, very, very beautiful, very nice. And then he put back the sword. And then on the sixth day, what happened was, he took the sword out and he started playing like a Kshatriya. He's imagining in his mind, I'm going to kill you. He did all that. Simply by doing that, these Brahmanas' pious merits all reduced, not destroyed. He didn't do anything wrong. Just that his pious merits are reduced. Why? Because he was engaging in his mind in sense gratification activities. So this is the danger. For us in Kali Yuga, we have no such danger. Why? Because in Kali Yuga, you can think of sinful activities. There's no sin there. Only when you do something sinful, then there's sin. But in earlier ages, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwarapa Yuga, you simply, if you think of doing sin only, there's sin there already. So this is what happened to this Brahmana. Okay, this Brahmana, simply by thinking of himself to be a Kshatriya, say, I'm fighting in a war, I'll kill you. In his mind only, he's thinking, he hasn't done anything yet. Simply thinking in his mind, he was playing as if like a child, like playing. His pious merit went down because that is considered a sin. So this is how dangerous, what ritualistic pious activities can be. It is good to acquire, some kind of pious merit, some kind of sakti, or you desire for some money, gold, this, that, everything. All that is okay, but there is danger in it. Okay. So in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 45, Krishna tells Arjuna, Trai Gunya Visaya Veda Nistrai Gunya Bhavarjuna. The Vedas, they deal mainly with the three modes of material nature. Krishna tells Arjuna, go beyond these three modes. Don't operate from the platform of the three modes of material nature. Operate from the transcendental platform. What is that platform? That platform is Bhakti Yoga. Do everything for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord will take the reaction. He will take the karma. And what you are left with is simply bliss. Simply bliss. Simply by performing such activities, one experiences bliss in one's life. Text number 6. Ignorant of the art of work, such arrogant, proud fools, enchanted and enlivened by sweet words of the Vedas, pose as learned authorities and offer flattering entries to the demigods. Today we have a lot of this kind of people. The people, they know a little bit of Vedas, they become Swamiji. And what they do is, they start talking to gain popularity. To gain popularity. They will talk very intelligently, they will appeal to your intelligence, they want to show that, they're very, very clever, very smart. And what they do is, they'll trick you. They talk, they give class, they give Srimad Bhagavatam class, not for the purpose of enlivening the lives and saving people from repeated birth and death in this material world. No. They give simply because it's a marketing tool to get victims to come and join my class, come and join my course, my 1 week course, $5,000 course. You pay me 5,000, I'll teach you how to become God. Okay. So somebody might ask, hey, what's wrong with that? It's okay, what? No, it's not okay. If you want to have a contrast of this kind of bluffers and cheaters, you look at Srila Prabhupada. How does Srila Prabhupada behave? He is a founder Acharya. He is an Acharya. Okay. Srila Prabhupada, actually in his time, while he was still alive, he was very unpopular. People don't know this. Srila Prabhupada was very unpopular. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada was not afraid to tell the truth, no matter how upset you become. He will tell the truth. He will talk about the absolute truth. He does not care if you like him or you don't like him. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada knows that to solve your problems, you need to take a bitter pill. You need to hear the truth. Sometimes this truth is so painful, sometimes people just don't like you. And that's what happened to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada told the truth, some people cannot accept. Some of his disciples just walked out. A lot of them did that. Okay. Another example to this is when you go and see a doctor and doctor diagnose you and he gives you medicine, and usually the medicine is very bitter and very horrible tasting, But what to do? This is the medicine that will help you. Sweets and Hex and M&Ms, this one all will not help you. Okay, let's move on. Text number 8. The materialistic followers of Vedic rituals give up the worship of the Lord, instead practically worship their wives, and thus their home become dedicated to sex life. Such materialistic householders encourage one another in such whimsical behavior. Understanding the ritualistic sacrifice as a necessary item for bodily maintenance, they perform unauthorized ceremony in which there is no distribution of foodstuff or charity to the brahmanas and other respectable persons. Instead, they cruelly slaughter animals such as goats without any understanding of the dark consequences of their activities. So this is a great warning here. This is basically a description of Western culture. Okay, I don't want to talk bad about them. They are nice people also. But then again, overall the culture is based on sense gratification. In the West, any idea that is in line with gratifying your senses, to enjoy, to be happy, to fulfill the desire of your bodies, or that is very much glorified, to the extent that they will cruelly slaughter innocent animals simply to satisfy the tongue. They simply slaughter animals to simply satisfy their tongue. Okay, and these people, they develop, because they eat meat a lot, they develop qualities that are very envious in nature. So when they see what they call this a class of people who are brahmanas or brahmacharis, they begin to criticize them. They look at them in a low manner. They say, "You fellas all are lazy fellas. We all work hard. We all work very hard. We acquire money. We enjoy life. This, that, wow." And then they'll look at such brahmanas who are pious people, brahmacharis who are celibate monks, who only live for other people's welfare, and they start to criticize them. So this should be avoided in any circumstances. Let's continue on. The intelligence of cruel-minded persons is blinded by false pride based on great wealth, opulence, prestigious family connections, education, renunciation, personal beauty, physical strength, and successful performance of Vedic rituals. Being intoxicated with this false pride, such cruel person blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His devotees. I just said that. So this I wrote a note here, end of Godfather movie. So one movie I saw once, they actually has all of this. This one family of gangsters, they very much in false pride. They have great wealth, they have opulence, they have prestigious family connection, they have education, they have renunciation, they are beautiful, they are physically fantastic, successful in all so-called dharmic activities, but in the end, what happened? That whole family is wiped out. They become nobodies, they become criminals, they are looked down upon like worse than dogs on the streets. Okay, let's move on. The personality of Godhead is eternally situated within the heart of every embodied being. Still, the Lord remains situated apart, just as the sky, which is all-pervading, does not mix with any material object. Thus, the Lord is the supreme worshipable object and the absolute controller of everything. He is elaborately glorified in the Vedic literatures, but those who are bereft of intelligence do not like to hear about Him. They prefer to waste their time discussing their own mental concoctions, which inevitably deals with gross material sense gratification such as sex life and meat eating. You see, so this verse here talks about those who are atheistic in nature, those who are envious of the Supreme Lord. They don't want to acknowledge that there is such a thing as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the most famous group of people who have been propagating this are the scientists for many, many decades, since, even in Srila Prabhupada's time, so they used to, say, oh, there's no God, or we have no, if we cannot do any scientific experiment to prove there is God, means there is no God, okay? But since then, what has happened is science have moved on. Science has gone into areas, unexpected areas. And what they discovered was, they discovered that everywhere they go, whether they go into micro, they go through into small atoms, or they go into outer space, or they look at the design and the ecology of the earth that we live in, they all discover one thing. They all discover that there is no possibility that such system can exist without an intelligence behind it. So they come and coin one phrase, one very popular phrase that you will hear a lot from now onwards. It's called intelligent design. So this intelligent design is their way of saying that, oh, there is something out there we don't know, we don't want to admit it's God, but we just call it, there is some intelligent design. So two words, intelligent design. First word, intelligent. Intelligent cannot exist from nothing. Intelligence is associated with a person. Intelligence come from what they call some creative endeavor, some work, and that work can only be done by a personality. So the word intelligent itself is pointing towards what? God is a person. God is there. God exists. And then design. Design is something that is created with thought. Created with thought. And it doesn't appear just out of nowhere. So again, there is indication, oh, this design is made by someone. Okay, let's move on. In this material world, the conditioned soul is always inclined to sex, meat eating, and intoxication. Therefore, religious scriptures never actually encourage such activities. Although the scriptural injunction provide for sex through sacred marriage, for meat eating through sacrificial offering, and for intoxication through the exceptions or ritual cups of wine, such ceremonies are meant for the ultimate purpose of renunciation. So, interestingly, here is mentioned that the Vedic scripture, they recognize that not everybody is of high pure qualities. Not everybody is a Brahmana. Not everybody is a Vaishnava. So there are people out there who still got some attachment. So the Vedas is so merciful that the Vedas makes allowance for these people. Okay, they make allowance for these people to perform some little token level of their sinful activities so that their senses can be calm enough for the purpose of calming their senses, so that when a saintly person come and tell them good instruction, they can hear with attentiveness, they can remember. That is the purpose behind it. And interestingly also enough, you will find out that 90% of all rules and regulation in all religion, not only Vedic culture, not only Vaishnava, not only Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, whatever, 90% of all rules and regulation cover two topics. What topics are those? Sex and food. Imagine that, 90%. Why? Because these are the two highest, sense gratification activities human beings perform. These are the activities that degrade one into the hellish life. You become more and more entangled in this material world. You see? So there is a nice story in this connection. I heard once a rabbi, a Jewish rabbi. This rabbi is the head of the Jewish religion priest. So this person, he was saying, if I'm not mistaken, his name is Rabbi Shimel. He was talking about all these rules and regulation in the Jewish religion with regards to food and sex. In the end, the conclusion, you know what he said or not? He said, better just be a vegetarian. Your life will be so much more simpler. All these rules and regulation for meat eating all are a headache, number one. It's just headache. Better just be a vegetarian. Your life will be so much more better. And he says what? No, I had some health issues while eating meat. The moment I became a vegetarian, all these health issues all disappeared. Suddenly I was experiencing good health. So now I'm a vegetarian only. This is the head of the Jewish priest. Okay, this is text number 12. The only proper food of acquired wealth is religiosity. If you acquire money by nature's way, the proper use of it is by engaging that money for the welfare charity, to perform sacrifice, to perform penance, and to perform austerities. This is called religiosity, on the basis of which one can acquire a philosophical understanding of life that eventually matures into direct perception of the absolute truth. The whole purpose behind this, performing all these activities, is to come to the platform of transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge means to know who God is, to know who you are, and to know your connection between you and God. and the process in which you can get liberation. That is called transcendental knowledge. Materialistic persons, however, utilize their wealth simply for advancement in their family situation. They fail to see the insurmountable death will soon destroy their frail material body. Those who are too much, sinful and too much engaged in sense gratification, they don't see there is 3 reset button. There is 3 reset button in their lives. Reset means what? No, whatever you do will be all useless. You will be good. You'll be lost. It's not going to give you anything. What is a 3 reset button? Old age, disease, and death. Let's move on. Text 13. According to the Vedic injunction, when wine is offered in sacrificial ceremonies, it is later to be consumed by smelling, not drinking. And not similarly, the sacrificial offering of animals is permitted, but there is no provision for wide-scale animal slaughter. Religious sex life is also permitted, but only in marriage for begetting children, and not for sensuous exploitation of the body. Unfortunately, however, the less intelligent materialists cannot understand that their duty in life should be performed purely on the spiritual platform. I think this is very clear. I don't need me to explain this. Text 14. Those sinful persons who are ignorant of actual religious principles yet consider themselves to be completely pious, without compunction commit violence against innocent animals who are fully trusting in them. In their next life, such sinful persons will be eaten by the same creatures they have killed in this world. So this is the law of karma. You torture animals to satisfy your tongue in this life. In the next life, this animal will be born in such a body whereby he will slaughter you. This is law of karma. You don't want to be slaughtered? Don't commit such sinful activities. The conditioned soul become completely bound in affection to their own corpse-like material bodies and their relatives and paraphernalia. In such a proud and foolish condition, the conditioned soul envy other living entities as well as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, who resides in the heart of all beings. And thus, enviously offending others, the conditioned soul gradually falls down into hell. So this is a very, very dangerous trap. Even if you are a materialistic person, there's one thing I notice about those who are mature materialists. They realize that never criticize anyone. In the business world, they have a saying. They said, never slam a door behind you. What it means, if somebody upsets you or somebody disappoints you, when you leave the room, or don't go and slam the door to show your anger. Why? Because sometime or other in the future, you might have to walk through that same door. You might have to see the same person, and you might have to ask something from that person. So this is, from a business point of view, they put it like this. But the reality is, to criticize others is so very dangerous. Because you do not know who you're criticizing. Most of the time, we just do not know. They might come across as like bloody fool, number one, but within their heart, they might be very, very pious, very pure devotees. And the Supreme Lord says, you blaspheme my devotees, you are finished. So to blaspheme others is very, very dangerous. Okay, I made a note here that those people who are very materialistically inclined, they tend to gravitate to the idea of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma is performing religious activities. Artha is to collect material assets. Kama, to enjoy sensual enjoyment, and moksha, at last get liberation. So these people, what happens is, because they are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what happens is they don't perform dharma and they don't get moksha. They don't perform religious activities and they don't get liberation. So in between there is two. There is artha and kama. They collect material assets and they perform sense gratification activities. And such activities, what happens is, will only lead them more and more into complication in this material world. Why? Because their focus will be on collecting more and more money. And anybody who try to stop them from acquiring that money they require to enjoy themselves, they will slaughter them and they will kill them. They will perform all kinds of sinful activities simply because they want to enjoy their senses. So this is a very, very dangerous line to go in. Text number 17. The killer of the souls are never peaceful because they consider their human intelligence is ultimately meant for expanding material life. Thus, neglecting their real spiritual duties, they are always in distress. They are filled with great hopes and dreams, but unfortunately, they are always destroyed by inevitable march of time. So this ultimately will be the goal of the materialistic, the demoniacs. Okay, today's verse is actually text 18. Hitvat mamayara chita graspatya shruhut striya tamo visantini chattanto vasudeva paran mukha. So translation, those who have turned away from the Supreme Lord, Vasudeva, being under the spell of the Lord's illusory energy, are eventually forced to give up their so-called homes, children, friends, wives, and lovers, which are all created by the illusory potency of the Supreme Lord, and enter against their will into the darkest region of the universe. Purport. The living entities turn his back on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and tries instead to enjoy temporary sense gratification. The result is simply anxiety as the conditioned soul struggles to maintain his temporary wife, children, friends, home, nation, etc. Finally, all of these things are taken away, and the bewildered soul, in great frustration, sometimes tries to take shelter of impersonal conception of God and liberation. Thus, the conditioned soul is always in ignorance, either pursuing illusory sense gratification or trying to avoid sense gratification by merging into the impersonal aspect of the Lord, called Brahman. But the actual position of the living entity is to serve the person, the Supreme Person, who is his master. And unless one gives up one's inimical feeling towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no question of peace or happiness. So this is the concluding verse of this section on this question asked by Maharaj Nimi about the fate of those who are non-believers, those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I'll end with this one more verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 10. Akama sarva kama uva moksha kama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena jayate purusha param. So Krishna says, Sukadev Goswami says in Srimad Bhagavatam, whether you are a renunciate, whether you are a sense gratifier, you want everything, or you want liberation, in all circumstances, you should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the one who is the cause of all causes. He is the one who avoids anything you want. But the extra glory of worshipping Sri Krishna by performing devotional service is that not only will he give you what you want, but he will also reveal the truth to you. Because your true welfare is actually to serve him. Jivara Surupavai, Krishna Nitya Das. The original constitutional position of the Jiva, the living entity, is to be an eternal servant of Krishna. That is the ultimate sum and bonum of all our perfection. That is to be the eternal servant of Krishna. The faster we realize this, the faster we will experience bliss, the faster we will experience peace, and the faster we will become happy. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I will end here.